Neither.
You as well.
The shorts.
Yeah, I know.
It's only 20.
It's cold weather, really cutting into my shorts.
Getting soft.
Yeah, we'll come back next week. Ready? Okay. Welcome one and all to the, what is it today, the 23rd of January installment of the UIDRB. Our next meeting will be Thursday, February 27th. So we have several cases this month, but not too many. Swear to staff. You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. Stephanie Kensler, Planning Division.
Do we have enough to approve the minutes from November? I was not present.
No, it does not.
Okay, we won't. Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Fleming,
Yes.
no Ms. Gunzelman, Mr. Mather,
Here.
no Ms. Parker, Mr. Reeds.
Yes.
Mr. Sublette,
Yes.
no Mr. Smansky. We barely have a quorum.
Maybe.
Bear, but we do. Ready to start? Yeah, anything? Yes,
Yes.
I believe
Can
we,
we just, so we have it for the record, can we make a motion on the minutes and then we'll say that it failed and I'll continue it to the next.
we make a motion to abstain or?
I just make a motion to approve and then anyone can second it and then people can abstain and I'll say it's continued.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from November. I will abstain.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Reeves. All right, Mr. Fleming,
Yes.
Mr. Mather was an abstain, no Ms. Parker, Mr. Reeves.
Yes.
Mr. Sublette.
Yes.
And no Mr. Smansky. We do not have enough votes to pass the motion, so this will be continued to next month's meeting. Thank you. All right.
Ready?
Cases, yes.
Case COA 2400-645-25 to 29 West Patterson Ave.
Thank you. All right, this application, the applicant is requesting review and action on exterior alterations to 25 to 29 West Patterson Avenue. The scope of work includes up here, replacing existing asphalt shingle 3-tab roof with Owens Corning Oak Ridge shingles in estate gray color. Replacing all windows with matching Vinyl Max Edison double hung vinyl or portrait windows in white where appropriate. All windows will fully fit the entire opening, trimmed with brown aluminum. Repair existing exterior doors and paint dark brown. Replace existing aluminum gutters and downspouts with new similar style gutters in brown. Repair existing wood soffits and fascia with treated pine and exterior grade plywood as necessary with new painted wood. Also that same brown color to match existing doors and gutters. Scrape and prime areas of brick with peeling paint. Color match existing paint at Sherwin-Williams and repaint the brick with exterior latex paint. Repair existing concrete stairs, sidewalks, and porches. No significant changes to existing aesthetics. Repair and paint wrought iron stair rails on the east front porch. Custom fabricate west front porch stair rail to match, painted black. Repair and paint existing metal staircase in the back, painted black. And install new aluminum handrails on the back porches. Staff notes that the roof and window replacements have already been completed. Submitted materials include existing condition photos, material specifications, floor plans, and the site plan. I'll go ahead and go through those materials. Here is just their explanation of the scope of work that I just read through. I apologize, this got a little wonky with big photos and little photos, so I'm for the right while I adjust the zooming. Okay, so this is what the house looks like now. As I said, the the windows and the roof work have already been completed. This little photo here is an image of what the house used to look like. I just pulled this off of Google Street View from about 2009. The house has been boarded up for quite a few years since then. We can look at that on the street view if you'd like. And then here are just some more existing condition photos that the applicant submitted. You see that concrete that needs repaired. Here's one of the doors, one of the concrete repair, and the missing railing that needs to be here. This is the railing that's going to be replicated for the other front porch. There we go. Here's the side. You can see some more of those windows, the others. So the existing railings, stairs in the back that are going to be repaired and painted. Another door to be refinished. Here's that roof that's been replaced. Stairs and railings need some work. More of that on the rear here. And they provided the site plan, which most notably for you all, they have just noted that any of that porch or sidewalk repair work that they do is not going to change the profile of what's there. They're not expanding anything or changing. They're just repairing. Then they submitted their floor plans, which are not really relevant to this. And then we have the cut sheets for the materials that they're proposing. So with that, we'll do these photos here. So upon review, the proposal is somewhat consistent with the University District Plan. The plan recommends preservation of existing contributing buildings and the character defining features should be maintained. While the applicant is preserving the building in lieu of demolition, the character defining features have been removed. Overall, the proposal is consistent with plan recommendations with the exception of the window and roof replacement. Staff notes that the roof replacement would have been supportable if the chimney and vent dormer had not been removed. The property is considered potentially contributing as it was built between 1902 and 1910. In consultation with the Historic Preservation Office, this home is French eclectic style, which is a fairly modest design, but the windows, chimney, and vent dormer are considered character-defining features. The board should discuss the removal of these features with the applicant and offer suggestions for remediation that would be more consistent with plan recommendations. Had this application come before the board prior to completion of the work, staff would have recommended that the chimney and dormer remain and that the applicant explore repairing the aluminum windows. If that was not feasible, the applicant should have proposed a replacement window with a more compatible color and multi-light profile to the originals, at least on the front elevation. As such, staff would recommend the board move to split the application, making the door repairs, gutter replacements, soffit and fascia repairs replacements, brick repainting, concrete repair, rear staircase repair and repainting, and handrail work staff approvable, and then continue the roof and window replacement portion of the application to allow the applicant time to remediate the removal and replacement of character defining features.
Very good. Is the applicant present? Can you step forward, please?
Is it?
Yep. I need to swear you in.
Oh, okay,
You don't have to stand.
okay.
Raise your right hand, though. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good. Do you have anything you'd like to add to the city's review?
Be merciful, please. We got ourselves into quite a pickle here. The contractor that we hired, so we have a loan on this property to renovate it, a very expensive loan. And all contractors who were subbed to do this work understood that they had to have permits for the work or they will not be paid.
So you hired a general contractor and then you had an understanding that all his subs needed to do that.
We actually are acting as the general contractor and we are hiring subs. And so all subs were instructed that they have to pull permits for this work. And, you know, they were like, yes, we understand. Roofers in particular are well known to start work before they pull permits. So that's what happened in this case. The roofer finished the job, went to pull the permit, and then it dinged this historic review process. It is unfortunate. I feel like those features probably would have been easy to save. The chimneys in particular were a safety issue. They were crumbling and falling. The dormer probably would have been a easy thing to save. But we thought just to prevent leaking or any future problems, we could just take it out easily during the process. we got ourselves in a pickle. I want to work with the committee to see what we can do, to remedy some of the issues. I'm looking for your feedback. Some things just probably won't be possible, but other things we are willing to work with the committee to remedy. So I'm looking for your suggestions on what would be possible and cost effective.
Questions?
Does staff have a list of recommendations in terms of remediation?
So as I wrote, if this would have come before the work was done, we would have liked to see that chimney and the dormer saved. And then the windows be a multi-light profile. I think it's up to the board to decide. You have the discretion to say it all needs to go back. We wouldn't have approved any of this work. Or to kind of find some middle ground there. I think that, we discussed it. In our opinion, like an okay place to land would be maybe, it's gonna be really hard to put the chimney back. The dormer probably could be put back, but I don't know with roof warranties and compromising things like that. But I think the windows would probably be the most impactful. And going with something that is a multi-light profile, at least on that front elevation, to bring some of that character back. But certainly that's up for you all to decide.
One thing I noticed, and I don't know if this would have been something that the city would have commented on, if you go back to the street view existing photograph that I consider additive.
So those, sorry.
Should we go to the actual street view and we can go
Yeah.
backwards? So those-
The, I guess, my question, the windows in place in the photos, is that as part of the current work?
The white vinyl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was this.
Okay.
So here's the street view that I have in the package, it's from 2009, and then after that, it was falling into repair, and then I think in 2014, you start to see it start to be boarded up a little bit, so.
Yeah, like street view from 6 months ago, the windows are all boarded, but the chimney and the dormer are still there, right?
I mean, I guess one thing that was additive that I don't think be such a big thing that would help is the covering over the left door was there at one point, and I'm assuming it looks like they both were there, and it's like, wouldn't think it'd be a huge thing to put back, and it's some measure of detail that would, I think, help the presence of.
Porches.
The awnings over the porches, the doors?
Yeah.
Okay. We did not remove those. I think scrappers may have taken them sometime while it was
I was afraid
vacant.
you could say they just fell off the house, but it's,
So they may have, but I think they were metal, so I think scrappers probably took them.
And that
oh, they're
was,
metal.
that was the
Yeah.
reason that we didn't call them out in the staff report, is because it looked like they were already gone before they had the property,
Yeah.
but certainly
Okay.
those would be character defining features as well.
So at time of possession of the property, the awnings over the porch were gone, but the windows were still in place under the plywood.
That was my understanding, yeah.
And
Some were missing and some were intact.
what were the windows?
They're-
Casement, like metal casement.
They're
windows?
wood casement.
Oh, wood casement, okay.
They look like steel windows.
Photos, yeah.
So I think the two easiest things I would think would be to replace the overhangs above the doors and then put in a little faux dormer for vents.
Which is kind of what that was.
Yeah, it's not real. I doubt
mean,
it.
it's
You would know better than us.
vented attic, probably.
Yeah, I think it did vent a little bit, but I don't think it was functioning as necessarily a vent. I think it was open to the attic though.
That's a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, it would have.
Probably didn't have E-vents though, do you? Or did they put E-vents in when they redid the roof?
yes, they put it.
Okay.
Oh, Eve. It would have just, my guess is
Whatever
The
he
attic.
builds up, it's leaving, it's letting.
the attic was just unconditioned space, and so you would have put vents in, because, vent stuff, you get mold. I mean, so how is it the conclusion was a permit wasn't needed to do the work? I guess
I think particularly on the windows. I understand the story about the roofers just doing it.
yeah, and I mean, I guess I get by rights, you can, well, I forget the term the city uses, maintenance or replacement. Like you can replace a shingle roof without a permit, like maintenance, maybe even windows, but like, demoing out a chimney, the dormer and doing interior work, like that's all permit work, like.
Yes, correct. So we are in the process of getting permit for the work. All subs were instructed that this has to be permitted work. But they started work before, I think it was just a weather thing. They're like, we have to start now. And sometimes the office staff and the guys who do the labor just don't talk. So by the time I showed up, the roof was already gone. The windows were half in. And I'm like, did you guys get a permit? They're like, yeah, we'll contact the office. And then by the time they get back to me, it's a couple days later and the work is done. And then so the roofer pulled the permit and pinged the COA process.
And sorry, just one thing I want to mention, because I realized that I don't think I read it out loud. You guys did add the scope in here about the shutters on those two, I think there's 2 windows that have not been replaced, but they're gonna be covered because you're doing bathroom work on the inside, so they're gonna do shutters and they, on the outside to basically close those off, and they did provide the spec for the shutters that they're gonna use.
I'm.
So I just wanted to make sure that that was included in this conversation.
Yes.
So.
That's gonna be a no. For me, I think that's the pound of flesh you're gonna pay for removing the dormers and the chimney, from my perspective. I think Dan, what were you suggesting were the sort of things to replace that were reasonable?
I was trying to work from easy to hard or easy to expensive, cheap to expensive, whatever you think of it. So one of the easiest things you can pick off, the overhangs, adding in the roof vent, and then we get to start getting into money. And I know that chimney is the most expensive
Yeah.
thing.
And it probably wasn't functioning anyway, so it's like purely ornamental.
Right. And do you really want to do that? It's gonna be a maintenance issue in the future if you add a decorative chimney now. It'll
Right.
probably fall off the building at some point.
Did they knock it down all the way to the basement? I assume they took,
I'm sure they locked it off underside roof sheathing.
oh, I assume that they might have gained some square, you don't think so?
I find it.
Yeah, it's
It's a lot.
basically demo to the attic floor.
I know enough contract.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell they done basement.
No, yeah.
I'm with Kenny about the shutters.
I guess my big thing is sort of the house in the
It's these
neighborhood.
windows.
Yeah,
Yes,
house-
the ones that are still boarded.
A house in the neighborhood needs windows, like it's better for the occupants of the house, it's better for the neighborhood in general. Blind facades are not great.
Mhm.
So I think I would, and I get that you're putting showers in there.
Yeah, they're in a shower. It's very standard, yeah.
I think there's a way of integrating a window into a shower assembly. You can film the window, you can put a curtain. It'll make for a better facade, it will make for a better interior. So I guess what I'm saying is that I can live without the chimney. I can go either way on the dormer because it'll be a decent amount of money to put in the sort of curvy dormer that's not going to do a ton. I totally agree. I think the overhangs go back on the porch. I would say I'd like to see the design revised to put windows where the blind windows are. I don't personally think that shutters are acceptable in terms of just the impact on the neighborhood. And I think there is a way to do a window in a shower.
Do you think there's a possibility where the windows on the front of the house are replaced with more characterful windows?
I think-
The rest are left.
Yeah, I think that is the one, is you kind of say, there's more money in it and what's the right balance. And that's a reasonable compromise. Like, obviously they'd have to replace 2 or 6 windows, but it would put some of the original character back to the building without making them replace everything.
Yeah.
That'd be. What do y'all think?
Is that the list then? Yeah, are we
I mean,
there with a list?
there's everything else, gutters, shingles, paint. But that stuff, to me, that's like compared
To your point, moving that to staff approval seems
Yeah.
totally appropriate.
Yeah, and all of that was, all of that was consistent with what we, would have approved anyways, and even the roof replacement would have been if those features would not have been replaced. So a lot of this is stuff that could have fairly easily been staff approval, but we had to bring the whole thing, so. The question then would be, do you want to do it the way I recommended in the staff approval, or in the staff report where we split it out and they bring back a revised design that shows the overhangs, different windows, and those windows on the sides actually being windows? Or do you want to make the whole thing staff approvable, and I would look at those details? Up to you.
I'd like to look at the windows specifically.
That's fine.
It would be, I mean, there's things like color of the windows, the white vinyl is,
Yeah,
Charming.
yeah. So, I don't know, there's details there that I think are gonna make or break restoring the character.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the photo of the original building with like the brown colored, I mean, yeah, the white.
and I think, because you're still doing a lot of the accents in brown, like the door, the gutters, all that is in brown. And I think if we did split it, they still have a substantive scope of work that they can get moving on as staff approval while they work through figuring out these three pieces.
Man, it's not to add insult to injury, but did you already pay the window contractor in full?
We gave a deposit to buy materials, but nobody gets paid in full without an approved permit.
Okay, that's.
Per
Had you
instructed.
done that, I would say I would advise you hire an attorney.
Yeah.
No, they've been paid for materials.
That's good news.
It's unfortunate. I live in a historic house, so I understand. We would have probably, a lot of the front windows were missing. The two bottoms were intact, but the top four were in various states of missing pieces.
Glass.
Yes, well, not just glass, the entire frame had been pushed out. Yeah, the property's been vacant for about 10 years, so it had been broken into many, many times.
And
So-
when was the house built, just out of curiosity?
When?
Yeah,
Um,
do we,
Jacqueline so kindly looked at the Sanborn maps and stuff for me, and we landed somewhere between 1902 and 1910.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I would have said, early 20th century.
So do we have a motion?
I'll say
We're not moving to approve though.
I would motion to split the application,
Okay.
and then, if you want me to rattle off the parts that will be staff approval, and then I wrote down the three parts that you guys would like to come back.
sounds great.
All right, so we have a motion to split the application, making the door repairs, gutter replacement, soffit and fascia repairs and replacement, brick repainting, concrete repair, rear staircase repair and repainting, and handrail work to be staff approvable. And then we're going to continue the, sorry, so we want the roof to be staff approval then too, because we're not gonna make him change anything on that, right? I can go ahead and sign off on that piece.
That includes the little doohickey for the vent.
I mean, I agree either way, because probably been,
It's like the,
I mean,
it's like the, the high on the.
I mean, you can put it on the roofer, I didn't pull a permit, so that can, I mean, I think, as Dan said, you could just fake the vent. I mean, it can be done out of framing and plywood. And, that's the pain the roofer's gonna have to absorb for doing work without a permit.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Yeah, like you said.
So, circle back. We got a motion to split the application. We're gonna move the following to staff approval. Door repairs, gutter replacement, soffit and fascia repairs and replacement, brick repainting, concrete repair, rear staircase repair and repainting, and handrail work is getting moved to staff approval. We're going to continue the roof replacement so that the applicant can look at putting a faux dormer back there, and the window replacement. And as a part of that, they are going to not do the shutter work. And so those will need to be windows. And then they're going to look at replacing the front windows with a multi-light profile of a brick color. And then we are also asking them to put the overhangs back above the front doors.
Yes.
Who wants to claim that motion?
Well, I mean, what you said, so moved.
Second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Fleming,
Yes.
Mr. Mather,
Yes.
Mr. Reeds.
Yes.
Mr. Sublette.
Yes.
Motion carries. Are you clear on all that?
I think so,
Okay.
just, so even if we purchase the property with no awnings, we still have to put them back, it's still part of the process, okay. I see. And you and I work out
Yep.
material specs and things
Yep.
together.
I'll try to send you an email tomorrow summarizing all of this, and then we can go back and forth, especially on all that stuff with staff approval, and we'll get you that one.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm confident that you will. I would lean into your contractors beyond part.
I am now much extra diligent, I have twin babies at home, so my life is,
Busy enough already?
it's a lot, so I'm trying my best. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next case. COA 24-000-614-1501 to 1507 Michigan Avenue. Was that the one we got?
Yes, this
Good.
case is withdrawn, so we will see them in February.
Okay. And that takes us to COA 24-00639-19 East 13th Avenue.
Yes. We'll close out. Okay. This applicant is requesting review and action on a proposed new standalone event space between Midway and Evelyn Tank. This is a redesign of a project that was previously approved by the UIDRB in 2023. Staff notes this parcel was included in Zone In Phase 1 and now has an urban core designation. The applicant is awaiting a response from Building and Zoning Services as to whether or not any variances are required. If so, the applicant will need to return to our letter of recommendation in the future. The submission includes existing and proposed site plans, renderings, elevations, floor plans, sections, and material details. We'll go through these. They did provide some imagery of what was previously approved, just for reference. So here we have the existing site plan. It's a parking lot between the two buildings now. And here is the proposed site plan. This is showing what was previously approved. There was the connection between the two buildings. This is the two-story space. Here's what they're showing now. Before, now. Here are the night renderings, and then showing that those operable garage doors on the front. This is the before, now, before revised. And this is showing some of the details and the materials. A lot of those have stayed in the same palette as what was previously approved. So we have our elevations here, the rear, east, and the west. Here's that material palette. And then we have our floor plans, the roof plan, we have our wall sections, and that is it. So the original proposal was approved by the UIDRB in late 2023. Since then, the project has been redesigned with major changes being, a significant reduction in square footage, elimination of the rooftop patio, and then also that elimination of the connection between the two buildings. So this is standalone. The current proposal is generally consistent with the University District Plan. The plan recommends that new construction be of high quality design and materials compatible with the surrounding neighborhood and have a dynamic massing and include high levels of transparency on the ground floor. The proposal is consistent with these guidelines. The plan also recommends recessed entrances and lighting to animate the streetscape. Staff recommends the applicant recess or cover the main entrance and then add additional lighting to the rear of the building for safety. So as such, staff would recommend a conditional approval with those conditions being staff approval, being a recess or covered main entrance and then lighting in the rear.
Thank you. The applicant is present, I see. I do need to swear you in. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good. Do you have anything you'd like to add in the city's review?
Yeah, so I just want to I prepared something just so to, I mean, obviously Stephanie did a really good job, compared to two, but I just want to give a little bit more detail maybe. So the main reason for the revision is the inflated cost of construction in the past few years. So in order to fit within the budget, we have to reduce the size and scope significantly, like Stephanie was saying. So now we have a smaller structure that's completely separated from Midway and Atherton on both sides. The smaller footprint reduced the gross area from about 6,800 square feet to 3,300 square feet, almost less than half. And occupant loads, down from more than 400 to now about 240. The original design was a two-story industrial structure with a very expressive translucent barrel roof, covering an open rooftop patio on the second floor. And there was some noise concern at one point, if you guys remember, and obviously we addressed those issues with the sound engineer report and providing a clear vinyl cover to enclose the whole space. Now that structure is important feature because it pay homage to the facade of the Newport and also the Ohio Union across High Street. So we retain the silhouette with the curved parapet that is clad in corrugated metal siding on top, and it is intentionally more restrained and budget conscious, contrasting the previous more exuberant roof projection. So now the new design is a one-story masonry structure, more like a historic brick warehouse. The facade is divided into a classic three parts: base, shaft, and the crown. So we talk about the roof, the curved top. The base is made of basically a 10H brick with double soldier cores at the bottom. It capped at basically the countertop where the garage door stops there, and obviously the middle of the shaft has this a big glass opening, which is actually required by the zoning of that 60% opening. And when it opened, it actually revealed the mezzanine level. It's almost like a recessed balcony on the second floor. And then on both ends, we have this chocolate brick that frame the corner. And then you have a steel channel that kind of cap the stone, the brick and the glass at about 19 feet. And then you have the top part. And since most of the building pass about 16 feet from the front of the building, will face an alleyway. So those facade would basically be a dark masonry base with corrugated metal panel above that you see in the elevation. And so as I said, this revised design, is completely enclosed with smaller footprint and area and occupancy, and is a more kind of subtle and discrete aesthetic expression, and still with a refined and intentional steel and masonry details. And I think it fit, in a way, it fit better in the existing urban context in a more comfortable way.
Okay, thank you. Steph, can you go to one image where it opens up? So those are garage doors operable. There you go. Okay. So I'm just curious on the image on the right, that's kind of like a catwalk on the second. I mean, how wide is it?
It's only about 13 feet
Deep. Okay.
Basically, it's a mezzanine essentially.
Okay.
Did the previous building also feature the garage door openings?
It has the garage door, but only at the first floor.
It had an open second story down. It was covered in vinyl.
You can see it here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a much shorter building now.
Further comment about recessing the openings into the building or adding an overhang, is that right? Covered openings? Do you have a feeling one way or another?
I mean, if we have to do it, I probably would do an awning instead of recess. It's just the space is already small inside. It's not going to be very practical to have a recess there.
Does the size change affect how it's being, the activities inside the use of the event center space?
I mean, obviously you have fewer people. Instead of 2 levels, you really just have 1 level. main space essentially.
Occupancy is reduced.
Yes. All zones you have, basically.
Next other question is leaning toward the issue of, does this change the noise reduction qualities that we were discussing on the first project?
I mean, I would say it would be probably better because now it's completely enclosed.
Yeah, I think it's better. I mean, it's basically, there's the operable sectional doors, which, you know, if open, you'll get some noise, but in general, it's an enclosed building. And if it really made a bunch of noise, you always shut the doors.
Brian is a
You
medic.
swear from the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes,
You'd like to add something, I gather.
yeah, it's gonna be, the sound is gonna be even less. Cause the top floor was going to be like like a big screen and the speakers and DJs. Well, we don't even have even close to the capacity to do that now. So like that's all out the window. It's gonna be a lot more down to earth.
Okay.
It's like that was our plan for the first floor and then party on the second. We don't have the second anymore, so it's just, you know,
So step on the image that's up, this is the south elevation, is the back elevation of the building?
This is the east elevation.
The east elevation. Okay, so the rear elevation is where you're suggesting that there be some lights added? Okay.
I mean, by code, they'll need one over the door anyway.
Yes.
Theoretically two, that's what I've been hearing.
Really? Two?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have no problem with adding more lights to the back.
yeah, it's a good idea. We should definitely do that.
I'm okay with it. I think it's a nice design. Honestly, I like it a little better than the previous one. Honestly, I think the arch is superfluous. That's just a comment. You can ignore it. Like, I think it's a nice design. I think if you squared off the top, it would look equally good, maybe a little better. I get staff's concern. I'm sort of don't know if I would put an awning. I wouldn't resist the entrances. I'm not sure I put an awning just because I think the clean look of the facade is pretty nice as is. And I feel like an awning or an overhang will detract a little bit from them. But I think the material palette is nice. The resolution's good. You can get a garage door that tall.
I'm sorry?
You can get a second.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, actually you can get even taller than that,
Okay.
actually.
Yeah, I'm asking
So,
for my.
it's about 18 feet tall if you want to know, the max, the most of the door.
Good to know.
So, any other comments from the board?
I think I agree with Keone. And personally, I would be more concerned with enlivening the rear facade as we mentioned, than altering this, which I think is good looking.
I do have a motion.
I move to approve the application as submitted,
With the addition of,
the addition of lighting on the rear,
there you go.
which will be code required anyway.
Do you have a preference, one light, two lights?
It's actually, previous code, it was just one light over the door. My experience in dealing with certain engineers is that they'll make you put two anyway, so I think I'll take care of it.
So, and are you okay with having staff approval?
Yes.
So as long as they bring me something with at least one light on the back?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is a conditional of, a motion for a conditional approval made by Mr. Fleming with the condition being staff approval that they add a light on the rear elevation. Is that correct?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Reeves, Mr. Fleming,
Yes.
Mr. Mather,
Yes.
Mr. Reeves.
Yes.
And Mr. Supler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
Which takes us to our last case, COA 24-00644, 190 King Avenue.
Okay. This applicant is requesting a conceptual review on a proposed new residential project that would serve families and patients of the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center. The project includes a new 20-unit building for short-term temporary housing.
Staff notes that this project will require variances that have not yet been identified. It has been determined by the Department of Building and Zoning Services that the property will not need rezoned. The change in use will be able to be accommodated via a council variance that will be included with any other variances that are needed for future board review and action. The submission today includes existing condition photos, site plans, floor plans, renderings, elevations, materials list, partial landscaping plan, and details on potential variances. We'll go ahead and go through the submission. We are here at the corner of King Avenue and Highland. Here are photos of the existing building. This is the existing site plan. And you'll see notes on here. They did have a list of variances, but after they talked with building zoning, it needs revised, but they wanted to leave them in here just so you could see kind of what some of them may be. So I just put a few notes on the drawings, disregard them as actionable, but they are still in here. So here is the proposed site plan. If you recall last time, we talked about setting the building back a little bit to line up the other buildings and that patio space in the front. So you can see this reacts to that. They are showing the proposed unit plans, the first and second floor plans with some of that landscaping detail. Here is the rendering from the corner there. We have our elevations and staple material information. The rest of the elevations. Here's a little more detail on that front patio space. These little landscaping would be there. Signage is not a part of this discussion really, but they're showing us some samples of what that could be. We've got details on the front door. And here's that list of variances that they were thinking they were going to need, and then the detail of the window schedule. So with that, the proposal is somewhat consistent with the university district plan. The plan recommends lower intensity residential uses and includes land use standards to match, as well as preservation of contributing buildings. The proposal is inconsistent with these recommendations, but despite these inconsistencies, staff could support the higher density project on this site based on the existing use and the surrounding development pattern. In regards to the design, the university district plan recommends that new construction is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood, be of high quality design and materiality, incorporate features that engage with the street, porches, balconies, etc., as well as include gathering spaces and public art. Further, being a corner site, the building should be designed to address both Highland Street and King Avenue. The site should be well landscaped and include street trees in consultation with the city forester. The proposal is generally consistent with these recommendations, with the exception of no public art being included. Staff encourages the applicant to explore opportunities to incorporate this into the final design. Lastly, the plan recommends preservation of contributing buildings. The existing building on site was constructed in 1964 and therefore is considered potentially contributing. Hold on. As such, staff would request a CAPS light report prior to demolition before we lose all these little lovely buildings in the university district. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much. Is the applicant present? Yes. Please come forward.
Swear you in? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good. Do you have anything you'd like to add to the city's review of the proposal?
Yes, I would. My name's Dustin Todd with Bartol Architects. Thank you for the summary. We're excited to be here on behalf of Unpreferred House and kind of be a small part of furthering their mission. I know that last time he was here, Brad Parrish kind of looked more at the overall site plan and kind of a higher level. Since then, we have had conversations with city staff about getting more clarity on variances. We had a very detailed meeting, which that last page is kind of what led from that meeting. They recommended we pursue the preliminary site compliance path prior to asking for action on those, in case other departments have some feedback that also might create another variance, just so we're not coming back multiple times looking for feedback on some of that. So we are starting down that process. Most of the variances we're looking at right now really have to do with density. But given the use of this, we agree that it is higher density than the zoning code really looks for, but it's not necessarily higher intensity when it comes to the people staying here. They're not permanent residences. With with what they're going through when they're staying here. It's not like it would be the way that a large apartment complex would be.
For what it's worth, I'm not put off by the density issue
I
whatsoever.
don't think,
So,
I don't think
Okay.
areas, you can just.
Okay, skip to the next one. As far as the design, we wanted to respond to the neighborhood that it not only feels home-like to be respectful of the neighborhood, but also for the people staying here, trying to have it feel more homely. And that goes even towards the entrance steps. A lot of the residences in the neighborhood have, centered steps and walkways that go up to the main entrance. We're aiming to reflect that, but also have the patio space off to the side where there could be opportunities for along the pavers there, having donor pavers, not dissimilar to what you see on OSU's campus in certain areas. As far as the art goes, were one of the items on there was a part of the pier, like looking to do it. I don't know if it'd be considered art or more considered signage, but that one on the right, we're looking to do something maybe out of cast stone for that would feel more classy, feel more a part of the pier and a little less signage. I don't know if that would be kind of considered reflecting towards that art piece or not. Overall, I'm happy to answer any questions, and we're looking forward to some feedback.
well, I'll start. So,
Tim has
I just wanted to disclose that I live 2 doors down
Okay.
at 202.
do you want to?
For what that's worth.
So I'm not an architect, but I'm going to say something that is relative to the art, not in general, but just go back to the plan. So the architects on the board are welcome to throw something heavy and blunt in my direction, but
I'm just gonna opinion about landscape.
Oh, that's fine, that's fine. So a couple of observations about just how it addresses the corner. I almost wish, not studying your interior plan at all, that I wish there could be some honorific gesture on the corner that really addresses the corner of the intersection, and the porch maybe recede west. And I don't know what the door does so you get a door that's down. I know you go up the stairs. I don't know where that leads to, but I guess what I'm saying is a couple of things. I mean, I wonder architecturally if that would be more appropriate, maybe not. But the other thing, as it relates to the layout of your porch, if anytime you're on a porch, you want to look out. And I don't think you want anything where your back is to the street. I think you want to sit with your back to the building and you want to look at the street. So I think that's something, one way or another, I think that needs to be addressed. So.
Yeah, I was actually reacting to the corner image that they had. 2 things that caught my eye were, number one, this bit of landscaping, which seems rather unprogrammed. That could be a good place for public art, maybe low to the ground.
Yeah.
The landscaping bit just on the corner, and then the white boxy thing. I understand why it's there. I just feel like it needs to be pushed a little bit. I think that might be the gesture you're looking for.
Yeah, maybe. And it goes all the way to the ground. I mean, maybe,
Yeah.
I too am disturbed by that box element.
But I do like the way on the other parts of the building, you have those dormers, or not dormers, gables facing the side street, and those face another development, which does the same thing across the street. You're creating a little district.
I was gonna say, I think it's very complimentary of what was built across the street.
Yeah.
It's form, so.
Yeah.
Which I actually like that building as well, so.
That's very nice.
I mean, in general, I support the design. I don't have a problem with the white thing in the corner. You'll have to satisfy them. I think my only 2 comments is I think the sort of east elevation, I get you got an odd number of, it's not sort of cleanly AB. The rhythm of dormers in sort of flat facade is maybe not quite there. So I think there's like just, because you go from A, and then 4 windows and then A. So I think there's a little bit of work to maybe try and figure out what the right resolution is. Not sure what it is.
Do you want it to be symmetrical?
I don't. I just think this is not quite it. Like, I wonder, like, maybe the northernmost dormer moves in, so the rhythm's right, and then the corner has a white end piece, like it does on the south or something. I don't know. I think I think there's something that can be done to sort of kind of clean up the geometry of that side.
Are the pieces where the gables are they held proud from the facade of the bounce, or is it all in the line? Is it all flush?
They are proud. We're attempting to break up that
Yeah.
facade a little bit so
Okay.
it doesn't feel so,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel as big.
I think the other thing is not 100% convinced by the ashlar stone because I assume it's going to be peel and stick. And I wonder if you might not be better off. I mean, it's sort of a funny, ironic reference to the previously contributing building.
Potentially.
I'm a huge fan of modernism. And that one is not it. But I wonder if you might be better off with like a nice brick. Because I think it's going to be. You
Not
planning
always
to,
convincing.
are you going to use real stone just cut thin, or are you going to use cast stone?
For the face of the building, we hadn't explored that completely yet.
Yeah, I will tell you what it's worth. I did a project years ago. And it was a con-span bridge at Dublin. Doesn't matter what park it was in, but we actually found a quarry in western Ohio, almost in Indiana, and they actually cut veneer. So it's real limestone. And we veneered the con-span bridge on the outside with the veneer, did some other special things I won't bore you with. And it's like 14 years old, not one stone's popped off. It is, so it's real stone. And then on the interior of the bridge where it's a pedestrian bridge, is true veneer, 4 inch thick stone. You can't tell the difference because it's the same stone. So it is, I know it's more expensive than lick and stick, but it's real stone. And if it's installed right, it won't come off, so.
I think
In
The brick is going to relate more to the housing stock that's there.
Yeah.
As opposed to
Fair point.
reminiscent of the
Yeah.
former building.
So in this vein, it might also be good to give them feedback. Right now, they're showing 1, 2, 3, 4 different siding materials for the design. If you all are okay with that, or you think should be reduced. We're just discussing with them at this conceptual level.
in principle, I'm okay with it. It's a little bit the strategy that's used across the street to sort of break up the forms and imply that it's kind of more multiple buildings rather than a singular structure. So I think the use of multiple materials is kind of in alignment with the general formal strategy. I think, overall, I think it's a pretty nice design. Like, I think you're developing it nicely. The scale works. I think there's some refinements in kind of the overall rhythm and modulation. And I think I'm on the fence on the stone, but we'll see if you come back with, road stone or cast stone. If you come back with cast stone, I would encourage you to consider brick instead.
Okay.
I know previously we saw a diagram comparing the height to the heights on the block. Is that remaining comparable?
We have the one rendering at the corner where we did. It's a little tough to see in this view, unfortunately. We do have the house model next door to try and show a comparison to it. We can more clearly show that in future submissions, just to make that clear. We're the midline of our roof is we're within the zoning guidelines of the allowable height.
I think Tim's got a good point. On the south elevation, I would extend the elevation to capture at least the house to the net west and the complex across the way.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with the height, but I think it would be useful to understand the context.
And Steph, this might be, but I just don't recall, and I've been ignoring my previous comment, which is still, I mean, regarding density, but did you have this building in context of the surroundings in terms from an aerial standpoint? There we go. That's just figure ground instead. That's fine. Okay. So the neighbor to the west, is that like a surface parking lot behind him?
Looks that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, parking lot for their residents.
So the people who stay here are being shuttled from the medical center, is that right?
Correct, and we've put in a ramp that goes down from the front patio space. We plan to put in some concrete in the tree lawn on Highland so that can be a drop off space for.
Is there parallel parking on that section of the street, I assume?
I think that there is. We may
Yeah,
we may pursue,
What is that?
yeah, that's Highland.
Yeah. I should have, but I didn't realize it's a one-way street. Everyone's pointing north. I didn't know that was a highway.
Yes.
No,
It is? I didn't know that.
yeah, it looks like there's parallel parking.
Yeah. Would you want that to be, just doesn't really matter, but an accessible parallel parking space? I mean, that might be.
That would be ideal. The one way is actually a great point, given the direction that goes, that would be on the wrong side of the shuttle.
Vehicle,
Yeah, so that's something.
unless you're unloading at the back of the van, depending on the type of vehicle.
That's true. So we'll have to examine that. That's a good point.
Other comments?
I'd like to make a more general point, and I'm assuming that in your plans includes to coming to the University Area Commission. And this in one way relates to that a bit more. But I hope that there are plans to notify and have discussions in the neighborhood. I think it'll be particularly important at the University Area Commission, which I also sit on. And I would be very happy to provide contact for you with the Denison Place Neighborhood Association and possibly looking at the circles in NECO as well. In order to, and I'm sure that Denison Place Association would facilitate those communications.
I'm gonna channel Frank Petrozzillo here and note that while the civic associations play a role in the process, they have no authority over aesthetics, massing, or form. Only we do. So use your judgment and discretion when you have those discussions.
The question will come up, however, the question of those discussions will come up at the area commission.
Yes.
Because we have had applicants that have engaged in those discussions, done what some of those commissions have wanted, and come here, and we haven't necessarily been on board with it. So,
And we will go through the area commission for the variances as well, as part of that variance process.
so that's currently still being reviewed by the city in terms of what variances will be required. Is there a timetable, like next month? Do you think that's gonna be understood in terms?
I have no idea.
It's
Oh.
unclear at the moment because we're going to submit a preliminary site compliance plan to have that preliminary meeting.
Okay,
And that's where some of those other variances might come up from the other departments in the city.
okay,
So we've got a list of the ones we know about now.
work in progress then.
because it's
Yes.
not on the development corridors.
Correct. This was not rezoned. One of the things you all mentioned to them last time was, the previous version was set to the corner and was going to the parking behind. They've set it back. Any thoughts on the setback showing alignment with the house next door? So
Yeah, I mean, I prefer it. I mean, this is, I think, what we wanted. I think in general, it walks a delicate balance, and I think it does it pretty well between putting generally a larger, higher density building on the site, but being respectful of the urban context. I think the general location in terms of the placement on the site and massing is pretty good. A minor point, some of the detail information on the porch, the brick columns, the front door is fairly traditional, whereas the design as you have it in the rendering is a little more contemporary.
Mhm.
I feel like you could probably relax the tradition, make that stuff in alignment with the rest of the design. It's your call, or you can go more traditional in the whole thing, but I would suggest the sort of aesthetic unity of the entire thing. Yeah, I mean, like the proposed entry doors are fairly traditional, the panels and side lights, the post light.
No, that's a good point.
Do you have any other questions of the board?
I don't think so.
No? Anyone else have any comments at this time?
I do not.
No? So do we need to continue this formally or no?
No, it's just conceptual, no action required.
Okay. Thanks for coming in.
Yes, thank you for the
Look
feedback.
forward to seeing you again.
I'll be happy to make those days on contracts.
Okay, thank you. I'd appreciate that. Okay.
Exciting news on the staff food.
No. Oh, wait, here it is. Let's see, we've had some signage for a new dump bin is the first one, and then they're doing a canopy on that building. So minor building contributions, we had a couple roofs. We had one that was concurrent with, HRC, the Historic Resource Commission. It was for like stairs, exterior stairs, so they.
Oh, that was just that black paint, the fire egress stair.
Think so. And then we had one that was windows, but it's similar to ones that have been approved many, many times. On these apartment buildings, the one at 2036 North High. There were a couple elements of that, but it was all stuff on the back of the building that was completely screened, and it was like a walk-in cooler and a bike rack and a dumpster, minor site stuff. We had a revision to that mural, the ad mural by the McDonald's. And then the last one was signage refacing in the existing sign frames. Then they were adding one new sign, so
I mean,
nothing too exciting.
problem with staff approving that murals, we don't get to see David Hodge anymore.
But if, should that McDonald's come back in the future, that mural may go away, so. But yeah, that's it for staff approval. So if you are all good with that, then we'll just need a motion to accept them into the record.
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second it.
That was a motion by Mr. Mather, seconded by Mr. Reeves, Mr. Fleming,
Yes.
Mr. Mather,
Yes.
Mr. Reeves.
Yes.
And Mr. Suplet.
Yes.
Motion carries. And then the last item was, as we do in January, election of chair and vice chair. Mr. Reeves and I talked about this, and seems like something that might be better to do when we have more people at the table, so.
Unless someone wants to orchestrate a coup.
Well, the alternate suggestion was to nominate and vote for people who are not here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you feel about this? Do you want to nominate someone who's not here?
That sounds like fun.
That's what they get for not showing up.
Exactly.
Out several steps.
Indeed. So however you all want to handle that, we can do the chair and vice chair election, or if you want a motion to continue it to the next meeting, that's up to you.
I think it's more fair. I think it'd be, there's some comedy and.
Some
Congratulations. You're the chair now. You know what, I'm actually gonna do that next month,
Next meeting.
just to get the expression on her face, and then we can come back down to earth.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a motion to continue our chair and vice chair elections to next meeting by Mr. Reeves. Was the second by Mr. Sublet, Mr. Fleming,
Yes.
Mr. Mather,
Yes.
Mr. Reeves.
Yes.
And Mr. Sublet.
Yes.
Motion carries. And then the only other thing I just mentioned to Mr. Reeves when we had our chair check-in was that normally in January, you're used to seeing the staff approval list up for recertification, but now that we have the common staff approval list, we'll probably bring that back in April or May. So we will bring it back. It may not have any changes, but.
Oh, that's what can be approved by staff, but they're trying to make it uniform.
Yes. So last year, everyone accepted that we have a uniform list, and that's what we've been working on, but just have the opportunity to amend it if needed, but that'll probably come in place. In case you were wondering where it was. But with that, we then stand adjourned.
Yep.
Thank you.